Hello, I'm Jenny Klochko and you're watching my podcast. Today we talk about Ukrainian partisans. We will try to find who they are, what they're doing, and how they're going through selection process, how they prove their love for Ukraine being on the occupied territories. So today I talk to Olster. He's the officer of defense intelligence and the handler of those who armed Russians on the occupied territories. Hello, how are you today?
Hello, Janice. Thank you for invitation. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. So let's start with your military background. I understand you have quite extensive experience with the army. When did you join? First time, or maybe the only time, Armed Forces of Ukraine?
I joined the army in 2014 when war was started in May, and I'm served till 2017, and I rejoined army in 2022 because of reasons.
Did you hesitate, or that was for you just imminent? As soon as you realized the war started, and you just grabbed your kit and joined your mates?
Yeah, it was. We know that me and my friends that war will begin, a great war for our country, and we have some planning work. We have talked with people. We have some gasoline, some weapons, some ammunition, and when war began, we were ready for defending Kyiv. We were located in Kyiv, and it was like, and we go. After that, we have so much operations, and most of them was successful. But I think it's not necessary for our talk. Now we're talking about other territories, and when Kyiv region was liberated, our eyes was looking to occupied territories, and we have friends, we have so much people who starved and have so much problems on occupied territories, and we know that we have to help somehow.
Was there many people there left, or it's built up step by step?
It's always built step by step, because you're not prepared for a war. You always have a factor of human beings, of human stupidity. And when you're planning something, even you know that Russia will attack you, you cannot realize that they will attack Hostomel and Kyiv region. And we have prepared for another war, different war. And also our component on occupied territories was not ready for our component on occupied territories was not ready to for moment when Zaporizhia district, Donetsk district, and Kherson was occupied so fast.
Yeah.
And Mariupol was in blockade, and it was a little surprise for us.
So you didn't expect them. Interesting you're saying about these friends on the occupied territories. From media stories, I understand those people who had previous experience with army or Azov or with intelligence, it's SBU or defense intelligence, somehow the information about them was known to the Russians. Those people were very effective on the occupied territories, but they also were the target. When you were starting your network of partisans, did you sort of like, was it advantage or disadvantage, the previous secret service or military experience when you were sort of connecting with people and assigning them to missions?
Usually you can organize some work with people and teach them to fight with enemy, to do usual partisan work. But in our situation, people were on occupied territories in a moment. That's why military experience was so efficient and so effective for our movement on occupied territories. If we had some man or a woman with military experience, it was a gift for us, because you have to teach people how to do some explosives, how to connect, how to do a right liaison with Kiev, and how to prepare all the actions that you can do with enemy on our territories. That's why when we connect with a man called Honta, it was truly a gift, because a man who served in Azov and go from Azovstal and were hidden by usual people from Donetsk region. It was a gift, and he in a time he organized people, teach them, and
but at the same time, he's being effective and professional with all the missions. You've been on the same wavelength with him. But at the same time, he become the target, sort of. Do you remember those, I'm sure you know from firsthand, when Russians, after occupied territories, they were looking for madly about Azov fighters, former policemen, former SBU, this. So somehow they obtained the database and they had this information. So you kind of very thin line where you can operate, because on one hand the effective person, on the other hand this person attracts too much attention unnecessarily.
It's always a risk. It's always some moments when you can lose your life immediately, but this man is from recon group and have knowledge how to deal with these risks. Also, young people or old people also have risks, and it's usual for our work. Also, usually infantry, Ukrainian infantry, also have some problems on the first line. That's why if you have some issues with tattoos, like patriotic tattoos that our soldiers have, or maybe a beard, or maybe you are from Lviv or Kiev and have a little accent in Russian, not usual for Donetsk region, you can deal with this. You know this problem, you can solve this. And our main problems were not about this, but about how to send them weapons, how to send them explosives, how to organize beautiful operations when FSB or former GRU will know that it's not their territories. And Honta was efficient in this.
Right. So I understand.
Not was, but efficient, and now.
We'll keep fingers crossed for him to be effective and safe to the end of this war. And my question is, I understand the aspect you mentioned, the casualties of war. There's risk, there's always probability to die, but at the same time, as a leader, as a responsible person, as the one who for example, sends Honta or any other partisan for a mission, it's partly your responsibility if this person coming back in one piece and alive. How do you sort of find peace or negotiate with yourself in this tricky situation, especially when it comes to very young people? Or I know that you deal with women as well, different age, and we know if partisan is caught and it's male, he probably will be tortured and killed, and if it's a woman, it will be tortured, raped, and killed. So, how do you deal with those sentiments?
Okay, first of all, you are military, and if you have some people, you are a commander. That's why commanding it's always a responsibility. It's difficult because you are not with your people. You have 100 kilometers between you and people who have your orders. If you talk about, but you have to remember that they live in our land and not there. You have to remember that all the people who can be called partisans living on their own territory. It's their home, and it's proud, I think, to fight for your home. War is always a risk, and you cannot build a situation when your people will live usual life. If you talk about young people, we working only with who become 18 years, and it's their motivation. Even young or maybe old people, they have to say to me, I want to fight for Ukraine. I want to fight with Russians. I want to kill Russians because they captured my family, because they killed my friends, because they live on my territory. Even an old woman. We also have some oldies who great agents, because if you see on the street a young man or old woman, who you think will be agent? That's why FSB have so much problems, and we can talk about this because they very successful in this war.
Look, but I know that you sort of like getting in contact and finding new candidates through online. So the person should be sophisticated, digitally sophisticated. When you mention elderly people, they at least should get hand of messengers or some encrypted apps. How do you solve that problem? I don't think many babushkas in Ukrainian villages are sort of like very sophisticated, sitting there on their iPhones.
We have not only one way to find the people and contact them. Sometimes it's usual, and all the people can Google it. You have online way, and people can contact us on our official bots in Telegram or different apps. But sometimes you know people who know babushkas. And you can build your net in different ways. And it's have to be safe. It have to be simple. And we know that FSB building up their, I think, umbrella on our occupied territories, and you cannot use Telegram, Viber, WhatsApp, all the apps, but we deal with this.
So, when you mentioned babushkas, I really can't stop myself asking. So they definitely, surely, not exploding the bridges. They more sort of observing, checking information, some dislocations of the army. They hardly, get hand of weapon and explosives.
For me, people on occupied territories, it's not about male, female, age, or occupation, I don't know. It's about abilities. And some babushkas can target some Russian headquarters for British Storm Shadows, for British missiles. And if you want to target somehow a Russian headquarters, you have to have ground component who will see on his eyes or her eyes a building and check for you coordinates all the conditions. After that, you can launch so expensive weapon. Some babushkas can do surprising things, and it's not about old woman who cannot handle with her life and digital assets. It's about woman who teach herself online how to kill or help to kill Russians in different ways in her city. And it's also about explosions, and it's also about some actions where her role is active. But it's usually we have different people. That's why you cannot say that we it's about old ladies.
Yeah.
But it's an example.
Okay, when you getting in touch with new people, possible candidates for the partisan, I'm sure you have already experienced and understand who would make good partisan. We established that previous military experience would be fantastic, but if there is no experience. And when I read stories or listen interviews or get in touch to the topic of partisans and activity on the occupied territory, makes me excited. I mean, I know as a journalist, I'm addicted to adrenaline, and I feel theoretically that I would go and do it if I was on the occupied territory and do something useful. People like me who excited about the whole idea, are they making good partisans, or it's nothing to do with reality and conducting those missions?
Good partisans, it's the people who can deal with their fears. It's good to fear. Fear, it's your protection, your natural protection. But you can deal with it with your brain. And if you have read some books or maybe see some movies, it's this work is not about 007 agent, okay? It's about usual work, and you have to teach yourself hardly in the moments that you cannot meet in usual life. You have to watch yourself. You have to live your usual life because FSB is watching you. But in the evening or in the night, you become a real partisan. It's hard to live two lives. It's hard to know something through internet, and this knowledge can ruin your life or maybe ruin your home if you have weak hands. That's why sometimes it's good when people doesn't know anything about recon, about all the human intelligence like a way. And it's good when it's clear people who do for you some tasks, and they have motivation to liberate their lands.
Right. But there's also a risk for you to have double agents, those who can be working for FSB, pretending working for Ukraine. How do you eliminate those people?
You have tasks for all the people, and some of this task is test. And if I say you, okay, we are friends now, do me a favor, burn a car of commander of a battalion who located in your village. After that, you truly will be my friend, and it will be test for all double agents, because they do not allow burn another and another car for Ukrainian intelligence. But we have additional tests, more difficult, and that's why our nets are secure.
How long does it take to prepare some beautiful, as you said, mission or assignment? For example, you mentioned Storm Shadow, the usage of Storm Shadow missiles. So if there's operation which requires to use those missiles, how long does it take to prepare and put everything in place to make it successful?
When you're targeting some battalion where your man is serving as a infantry soldier, a Russian battalion, and you have sent to them your man, and he send you coordinates where they're located, and targets to him all the rockets. It may be hours, maybe an hour, because all battalion located in one place, in one field for training, and your man can send you coordinates, and after that you have to explain for commanders why they have to immediately send ATACMS to this target.
Could you tell
Sometimes it can be months or years when you have to infiltrate in special organizations, even in FSB, when you have to infiltrate on the factories where missiles are produced. And it's not about time, it's about result. When this great war will stop, I think it will be paused for a while, and we will have restart in 2 years, in 5 years, even 10 years without Putin. It's not about Putin. It's about the nature of our neighbor. That's why our operations and our people who now wait for our commands and orders to do something on the factories or maybe in the government of Russian Federation will do their successful work.
Could you tell a bit more the operation when the Storm Shadow missiles were used successfly?
You have read about this, about targeting in Crimea, and I have told you about formation of battalion, and we have, I think, 80 killed Russians on this formation. And in Crimea, it was targeting on factories, on airfields, and on anti-air missiles like S-400 or S-300. All these operations also have ground component. Even in 2022 or 2023, it's usual.
Before starting preparing the mission, who is the person who decides, okay, we need to destroy this headquarters or this ship or this Russian air defense system? Where does it come, you know, sort of like, who is the decision maker? It's coming from the top, or you doing on sort of on the ground with less people know the better, because there's always risk of leakage information, isn't it?
Okay, please read the Ukrainian laws and you will find all the answers, because it's not my decision or decision of my agent, because when you developing something, you cannot see a bigger picture. It can be seen on a general level, and maybe now it's not necessary to strike air defense system because of reasons, I don't know. Even if you have this ground component, or even if people who serving on this air defense system saying, okay, we now received all the rockets, you can beat us now. I can run. And it's we have situations when all was prepared, and we do not have permission for this. It's good because we have people who see big picture, and it's good that they observing and making decisions not for result but for big result.
Yes, we sort of established it is important to hit the enemy where it's the weakest, to weaken where on occupied territories, to make it easier and withdraw attention from the front line, to make easier for Ukrainian armed forces. But I'm curious, how important to be in touch with Ukrainian people when they under Russian control and just letting them know, you know, through the missions or through graffiti or maybe yellow ribbon, that Ukraine is here, Ukraine with you, to have this connection and keeping their spirits up, to keep their patriotic feelings, you know, up. So how important those from emotional side? I know it's difficult for you as a military person, you live, sort of, you see the world through the missions, but let's have a look at the emotional side.
You cannot have emotions on a war. And in my opinion, all the patriotics, graffitis, or maybe ribbons, it's not about a result. Because if you put a yellow ribbon on a tree or on a car, not your car, and you will be captured, you will get also 5, 6, 8 years, you will be tortured. And my question is, maybe it will be more good to explode some commander, like it was in Horlivka, when also infantry soldier who joined Horlivka regiment, occupied Gorlivka, have planted explosive on his commander's car. I think it's more efficient, and all the town knows that car of this commander will exploded. I think it's like a yellow ribbon, but with bigger result.
Yeah, I understand.
People, let me finish. People also read something. They have waited for our counteroffensive so much, and it was devastated when it was not successful. We also have people in Belgorod, Kursk, Kuban. It's also ethnically our territories. And they also help us, but they understand that it will be not liberated from Russia now, but they help because they love Ukraine and they want to fight with this regime.
Тебе все є, спити, їсти.
Да, ви все, да, спасибо вам, ребят, дай Бог вам здоров'я.
Все, бережи себе.
Фашистов, в
Все.
натуре бейте.
Все, Путін
Повесьте
хто?
повесьте его, братаны.
От души, от души.
Пожалуйста, повесьте его.
Все, слава Україні, брат.
Героям слава.
Давай, братуха.
Because they want to brighter future for their children, even in Russia. And their patriotic feelings, it's not about yellow and blue colors. It's about blood. It's about future of children. It's about culture. Our enemy do not want ruin, destroy Ukraine. They want Ukraine in Russian Federation, and they want destroy not every Ukrainian, but our culture, our language, our knowledge, and only with Ukraine Russian Federation, like empire, will be good, will be efficient, and will can fight with all another empires. Without us, they are Watniks, and that's all.
There was one chance for me to contact with people on the Ukrainian people on the occupied territories. I was conducting investigation about hospitals in Mariupol and bombing hospitals when I used to work for British television. And for the interview, for that investigation, and interviewed about like 30 people, not those doctors and nurses who moved in Kiev and from Mariupol, but also those who stayed on the occupied territories. So I had to connect with the local mobile network and so on forth. But what I noticed when I was talking to them, those people, they were offended. They were upset towards Ukrainian authorities. I didn't discuss politics with them. I didn't try to convey or persuade them into anything. But I'm just saying, it feels like with some of them, it felt like they made their choice to be with the other side. And I know in Ukrainian society, there's some people have this sentiment that on occupied territories, those who betrayed Ukraine, those who are traitors. So what's your thoughts on this?
We have a law for people who collaborate with Russia. You can live on occupied territories, you can work, you can do something on your fields, you can teach your children, but you cannot command, you cannot participate in politics, in government, because if you do this, you choose Russian side, side of occupants. And it's clear for me. If you cannot deal with this, you can go on a big Ukraine, not occupied Ukraine. If you want, you can go in another country, but you do not have betray your land, your ancestors, and your country. That's why all the feelings is good, but you have to remember that not Ukraine have to do to you something. You have to do something for Ukraine. Even if you from Mariupol or maybe other occupied villages, cities, Crimea, it's all about your position in the world. No one loves betrayals.
If we look at the world history of partisans, in the UK, the first association would be French resistance. But, however, the most successful partisan movement was in Yugoslavia, and also the Lithuanian partisans killed approximately 3,000 Nazi soldiers. Do you hold an account of those Russians who are not with us anymore through the successful missions?
Yes, we are, but we're doing this in different way. When you read something about Yugoslavia and Lithuania, it's have written after war. We're now in a war. That's why we cannot say you how much people were destroyed, were eliminated, and we have our, I think, traditions in our movement. I think we have differences because Lithuania fought with two enemies. First of all, it was Nazis. First of all, it was Soviet Union. After that, Nazis, and after that, Soviet Union. We're fighting with one of the biggest special services in the world, FSB. To have trained on Russian people for years, and no one fighting with FSB so long in this way. It's unique experience. They have so much tools in our online society. They have so much experience in finding people, in fighting with another countries, and we're still efficient.
In France, in France, during the invasion of Normandy in June 1944, the French resistance helped to advance Allied armies. And the perception of partisans was an inspiring example of patriotic behavior, bravery. And do you feel that Ukrainian partisans will be doing similar thing for Ukrainian army during counteroffensive and during the liberation operations of temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine?
They had they do this in 2023 when our big counteroffensive was planned in Melitopol, Energodar, even in Berdyansk. People have so much actions, so much work with enemy, but counteroffensive was not successful. You can notice that I do not have so much facts. It's about safety. I cannot tell you about actions where people do some successful work and people are now on occupied territories. When I said you about Horlivka commander, it's okay because this man who exploded this car with commander are now in Ukraine and live his better life. When I say saying about Honta, I know that he is in safety. But we have hundreds of people who are serving now. And they do like French movement. They didn't rescue any pilots, but because it's a different war. We don't have any aircrafts on enemy fields, but they have so much work in another way.
Historians believe the biggest and successful battles for partisans, it was in Belarus, it was Polotsk and Lepel in 1944. Which is, in your opinion, will be the biggest battle for Ukrainian partisans? Is it going to be fight for Crimea or Donbass?
You have to remember that stories that you're telling, it's about usual partisan formations who have commander, who have uniform, who fights openly enemies in the woods. But we are talking now people who live usual life, who have some work on factories, who have family, and even family doesn't know that on evenings father lives the second life. That's why our operations, it's not about like approaching to Russian positions, killing all the Russians with artillery and looting all the equipment for our partisan movement. It's about human. It's about human intelligence. When you have to build a net that can effectively oppose FSB, effectively do explosions on a railway, on in the cities with betrayals.
If you could address to Ukrainians on the occupied territories, what would you tell them?
Пам'ятайте, що земля, дана вам предками, має перейти вашим нащадкам. І ви маєте за час свого життя зробити все, щоб жодна Дещиця землі української не відійшла ворогу.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and share on your social media. I hope you enjoyed it. And please don't forget to subscribe, because apparently 76% of people haven't subscribed, but they keep watching the videos. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I'm Jenny Klochko. Have a good day.